Honest health coaching is exactly what Doc provides. He truly exceeded my expectations. Ahead of the call, I'd provided a quite detailed and lengthy breakdown of my circumstances with specific questions to be covered. Not only had he clearly gone through this meticulously, he had deep dived the topics in depth so that his feedback was incredibly relevant, expert and actionable. The consultation was a forum for him to ask further exploratory questions and present his recommendations and advice, all of which were superlative and way beyond anything I could expect from the mainstream medical industrial complex. Doc had obviously spent several hours in advance preparing for my call, and the experience has left me motivated, empowered, superbly well informed, and stunned but relieved that this degree of transparency, honesty, and compassion is available in a healthcare setting. Folks, if you want to pick my brains, if you want to have an educational, empowering consultation with me to help you get your health back on track, then book a consultation with me. Visit my website, docmalik.com. I would love to help you.
You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Like, I don't think, not only is Substack like a serious danger, they're going to tighten it up and we're not going to be able to make money. But two, like my growth on Substack is like that, free subscribers.
Yeah.
But I've been static for over a year now, paid subscribers. I'm not getting any, and that doesn't make sense. How can there be so many people signing up for my Substack, but the paying thing is just totally flat?
Also, it's, you know, you are controlled by an intermediary third party, aren't you?
Stripe.
You're controlled by them and Substack. So your content is on Substack. It's not yours, it's theirs. So what I do is I copy articles that are really important to me over to my blog. So they're on my blog and they're on my Substack. So if my Substack goes down, the articles that are important to me, and the problem with that is they might not be important to other people. They might think other articles are more important. I've got a copy of them.
That's a good idea. You know, I've actually got my own website, and it just has all the podcast listings on it, but maybe I should have that blog function, just be able to copy and paste my articles over there.
I would. Yeah. Because otherwise that content's going to go down, mate, and then you'll have lost it.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't even know why they need a third-party intermediary. That doesn't even make sense to me.
No.
They just take another slice of the cake.
Yeah, now who is it? They've recently done a deal, haven't they? Substack, and been bought out by I want to say someone connected with Larry Ellison. If it isn't connected to Larry Ellison, I'd be very surprised.
Oh man, Larry, good old Larry, eh?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I don't understand the third-party intermediary, and then it's even worse than that. I've on my every Substack, I say don't subscribe via the App Store, because I only get 50% after the App Store and Substack and Stripe take their cut.
Yeah,
I get 50%. So for a £6 a month subscription, I get £3.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, there was a guy who signed up to my Substack, and you know, he's quite wealthy. Like, he told me how rich he is. He's a millionaire, multimillionaire. Yeah. And he goes, I signed up to your Substack eventually. I went, oh, that's great. He sends me a screenshot. I was like, dude, £6 a month. I mean, you could have done a founding member. Like, for fuck's sake. And he goes, oh, I didn't see any other option. I'm like, really? And then I went, oh, I also noticed you did it through the App Store. So I only get 3 of that £6. And he went, oh, I don't know what else to do. And he went, am I a Luddite? I went, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is it? Like, you know, what the heck?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I even had a Rockefeller contact me. She signed up to my Substack.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, same.
What, a real Rockefeller?
A real.
A real Rockefeller.
It's difficult to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
A real Rockefeller. Seriously.
Yeah.
And £6 a fucking month.
It's a big family. There's probably some disillusioned Rockefellers as well.
Dude, £6 a month. What the fuck?
£6.
I was like, and then
It's almost an insult, isn't it?
It's almost a fucking insult. Like,
Yeah.
just don't bother. Just
Yeah.
don't bother. Like, and then they sent me an email, and I was like, are you genuine, like, proper art rock? And she was like, yeah, you know. And I was like, oh wow. And then we had a chat. Over the phone. I was like, can you come on the podcast and talk about it? She went, oh, I don't think that's a great idea, and blah blah. Anyway,
And I'll be assassinated.
Yeah.
So nah.
and then she was saying how I said all these bad people out there, and she didn't like the COVID thing, and all this evil is being done. And I was like, a lot of people think it's your family's behind it. And she was like, no, but that's not true. That's not like my grandfather did make some mistakes. But then and then apparently, like, the money's not all theirs. It's all tied up in a foundation. It's controlled by other people.
Well,
and
yeah, probably.
and that her grandfather made mistakes and trusted people like Kissinger or whatever.
Yeah, because it is not a very good idea to trust Henry Kissinger, was it?
It was
probably a bit.
I'm just saying, it was a little bit more nuanced. It was like, wow, this is like getting interesting. This is like a strange conversation I'm having.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, you get have these conversations with people that you weren't expecting to, and, you know, pick their brains and see what they've got to say. I mean, the thing that I always kind of look at is policy, because when we're talking about what people think and what people say, although that's interesting, and you can get a lot from what they think and what they say. Really, if you want to know what's going on, just follow the trajectory of the policy. Where's the policy going? And then you can look at who funds the policy. Where did the policy come from? Invariably, it's from a think tank somewhere along the line. And I think, who is it who recently, I think it might have been not Ron Paul, who's the other Paul in America? Rand Paul, yeah.
Is he not a bad apple? I don't know.
Well, but he did try to put through an amendment in Congress, or put through a motion in Congress I mean, it's the irony is unbelievable, to try and get congressmen and women to read the legislation before they pass it. So that was all. You know, would you kindly just promise just to read it before you pass it? So he's just saying that, you know, people don't, you know, the people that are elected representatives, they're not reading the legislation. They don't. I mean, Rory Stewart in the UK said exactly the same thing. They don't read it. They don't know what it is. Some lobby group just comes up to them and says, you know, this is the policy that we think that you ought to be pursuing. There's a few kind of committee meetings about it. They formulate the policy, they put the policy forward, and the politicians, in our case in the UK, the MPs, they don't know what it's about. They haven't read it. They're just told what to vote. They vote in line with the whips. They're not representing us at all. So
I had Graham Moore from the English Constitution Party, and he was saying it's totally unconstitutional. Every parliamentarian should be representing their constituency, not a party. There should be no whip. You shouldn't be a first line whip, second line whip, third line whip, because then that means your loyalty to the party. It's not to the constituency. No. So there is no democratic process here. And like Dominic Cummings was even saying, you talk about Roy Stewart saying, you know, the fact that they have these cabinet meetings and they're given their brief by their civil servants. Mm-hmm. They have their script that they read out. They ask a question. Someone has got a script with the answer. Then someone's got a script with another question. Then they all go around and do this little wee game of acting. Yeah. And then they put their little wee thing back in their box, and the civil servant pats them on the back and says, well done. And if anyone speaks out of line, they get another pat on the shoulder like, hey, why are you going off the reservation here? What's happening here? And it's just like, whether it's the prime minister or the parliamentarians, they're all just acting.
Yeah, it's a performance.
It's a performance.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, no, it is. It's
Sorry, I'm still relatively new to all this. So I'm still absolutely gobsmacked.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that is important, probably, that, you know, sort of something that I talk about a lot in my work and what I try and stress to people is to get people to appreciate that the government is not in charge. The government isn't running things. The government represents those who are running things. And that's through a global network of think tanks and normally public-private partnerships with, you know, organisations like the World Economic Forum, but not just them. I mean, you know, there's plenty of other groups, the Bilderberg Group and the Council on Foreign Relations and the Royal Institute of International Affairs.
They're the snake at the top, aren't they?
Well, I mean, I'm a little bit wary. Yeah, they're one of the snakes. I mean, I'm a little bit wary of. I mean, one of the criticisms I get a lot is that I don't talk about things like the Crown or the Vatican or the centres of global power. And one of the reasons that I don't talk so much about that is not because I don't think there's something to it, because I think if you look at the research, there is certainly something to say that, the City of London is it's literally a nation unto itself. It's a law unto itself, literally, in the UK. So there is definitely something to be said for that. And who is that? It's the Crown Corporation and so there is, centres of power that we can identify. However, if you look at things on a global scale, does that mean that the Chinese Communist Party hierarchy are kowtowing to the Crown? Which is the suggestion of people that insist that the Crown is at the apex of, and I don't see much evidence for that. And one of the problems with putting the whole kind of pyramid of power together, which actually something that I don't know whether you've seen it, Derek Brose has just completed a series of videos that he's done called the Pyramid of Power, where he looks at these issues. Is there a kind of identifiable single pinnacle of power? There probably is. So I mean, I think there probably is, but in order to identify it, we would need disclosure on a level that we're nowhere near gaining. Looking at it even from an evidence perspective, people that have written about how power operates in the world, people like Anthony C. Sutton and other that have written about how power functions. If we try and put the evidence together to say it is this group or it is that group, what we ultimately end up with, and what I've certainly found in my own research, is that it's not quite that clear cut, because there are other groups that have got interests in. So I mean, one of the examples we might give at the moment is in the US. There's a new group of powerful influencers, a powerful group of oligarchs, for want of a better expression. So these are the Silicon Valley oligarchs who have their meteoric rise to power and authority. So we're talking about people like Peter Thiel and Mark Andreessen and Sam Altman, these people, Larry Ellison, who have come to the fore because of really technological innovation. They've been riding the crest of that wave, and they are now extremely powerful, to the point where I think it's fair to say, and this is something that I've written about in my new book, is that to the point that they control pretty much the Trump administration. They're pulling the strings of I mean, and it's quite, but there again, this group are very closely aligned to what, for want of a better expression, we might call kind of traditional US oligarchs. So that's people like the people that like the Koch brothers and these families that are behind the Heritage Foundation. So that's more traditional oligarchical power being exerted. So
you don't think Miriam Adelson owns Trump with her 100 million?
Of course,
donation.
Very, very powerful, influential people. So she's from that kind of Heritage Foundation side of the kind of power dynamic currently holding sway in the US. People like Thiel and Andreessen and people like that, Altman and Ellison, are from another branch of that.
But don't you think these billionaires that you just talked about, these tech billionaires, they're made men.
Yeah.
Bill Gates, Bezos, Musk, they're made men. They're made men with deep intelligence, money, with the banker supports.
Mm-hmm.
Like the real people in power want to remain hidden. Mm-hmm. So they put these little made men up in front to give you this illusion that they're the ones calling the shots. But I just think they're actors on the stage as well.
I think when you get to someone, if you've got a plan for taking forward the agenda, which this group of people that are aligned with what we might call the neo-reactionary movement in the US, which is a global movement, they have a very specific plan for moving forward, you know, the digital transformation, and they have the means of doing it. They have the means of doing it in terms of the technological means. Their companies, Palantir, X, you know, Anduril, companies like this, OpenAI, Clearview, you know, Oracle. These are the companies that are moving the agenda forward, both technologically and financially. They've got the money behind them to move the agenda forward.
They've got the support from BlackRock, State Street,
BlackRock, Vanguard.
Larry Fink.
Yeah. So I think they are. I think you're right. I think they are made men, and I think it wouldn't be possible for them to achieve what they've achieved in the US were they not accepted into the fold. So they have to be accepted into the fold. But I don't think it's necessarily that they're puppets on a string for let's say the Koch brothers. They're not puppets on a string for them necessarily.
Or the Rockefellers, or the Rothschilds, or some other
or whatever,
banker.
Whoever.
Yeah,
I think they come with an offer. They come with an idea. They come with because I mean, you know, Thiel's on the steering group of the Bilderberg Group, so he's not, you know, he certainly is there by agreement, but that means that he wields particular influence and power himself. So I think it's like any business arrangement. They come with a plan. They come with an idea. They represent it. They talk it through, and if they're accepted and taken on board, then they're part of the gang. They're in the business. They're welcomed into the business. And I think that's certainly what's happened with this particular group of oligarchs in America. And that's another thing. I mean, we can talk about it's a language. Language is important. So I recently I've been sort of changing the language that I use, and I have been talking more about oligarchy and just coming out and saying they're oligarchs. Who's in charge? It's oligarchs. Oligarchs are in charge. So you know, you can go all the way back to Aristotle to look at where we get the concept of oligarchy. But the reason that it's worth talking in those terms, in my view, is it's an established, well-known political system. Oligarchy is a thing. It's been a thing for thousands of years. So it's not unreasonable to talk about oligarchy.
Yeah,
You know?
I just wanted to make sure I got it right. So basically, archons are rulers.
Yeah.
So oligarchy comes from the Greek, oligos, few, archine, to rule. So it means to be ruled by the few. So it's a system of government or power structure where a small group of people at the top control the whole country, a whole nation, everything.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's an oligarchy. That's what we are.
Yeah.
They make it out like it's Russia. It's like we're under an oligarchy.
Yeah. We don't need Russia to run an oligarchy. We've got our own.
Yeah, we've got our own. But listen, before we talk about all of this other stuff, right, let's get into the nitty-gritty digital ID business. You know, you did an article on the brick card, PSYOP, again, I think just yesterday. What is true digital ID in the UK and why the brick card is a PSYOP. You wrote another article a few days earlier, which I mentioned in one of my own posts, which was excellent. But yeah, I'd love you to talk about this. I remember now. I listened to this morning, by the way, at 6 o'clock in the morning, while I was exercising.
Yeah.
It's a great piece. You know what? And going just back a little bit further onto the Substack thing, you know, you've got 8,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
It should be like 10 times that.
Yeah.
I'm being serious. Like, there's jokers up there who've got massive readerships, and like they're pumping out just crap, and they're like, to me, part of the whole controlled opposition thing. I know people are like, oh, there's no such thing as controlled opposition. You've been accused of controlled opposition. Yeah, I have been accused of controlled opposition. That's the whole thing. Everybody gets accused of it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
No.
And there are people crafting stuff and a narrative and keeping, we were talking earlier on off air, like people who gather you, gather your spirit, your momentum, your energy, your frustration, and then lead you down a merry path into a dead end.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I'm saying, 8,000. I mean, honestly, you should have 80,000 in your readership.
Well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be great. But yeah, I mean, so for things like on X, I'm hopelessly shadow banned on X. So, I'm supposedly got 21.5 thousand followers, but if I'm lucky, if I get about 20 people, seeing something that I put out on X. So
Same.
We are controlled by algorithm. We're controlled by AI already, or that's already happening. So, and that's the point of these articles about digital ID, because obviously the British government, Starmer's Labour government, and Labour Together, who are a very interesting organisation.
Explain.
They appear to be very corrupt. I mean, there's
only appear to be.
They've already been done, I think, in 2021 or 2022 for failing to declare financial support for politicians such as Keir Starmer, who got a 50 grand bung from Chin. I can't remember what's his first name. He's a well-known businessman. I can't remember his first name. Mr. Chin, we'll call him.
Okay.
Who is it? Michael Chin, might be. And another well-known contributor to Labour Together, a guy called
Trevor Chin.
Yeah. And who's the guy, the Taylor guy? I can't remember his first name either. But they're buying
£740,000 in donation.
Yeah.
Who the hell is behind this Labour Together think tank campaign?
Chin and Taylor are the main people behind it. So Taylor's got an investment company that is very much into the kind of digital transformation investments. He's got investments with Amazon, Google, Nvidia. These are the
Morgan
companies that he supports.
McSweeney.
Yeah, well, McSweeney was the guy that moved over from the head of Labour Together to then be the kind of strategist for Starmer's initial 2020 bid for the leadership, and then he got kicked out, and then he came back again. He's now his chief advisor.
Okay, so yeah, and Trevor Chin and Martin Taylor are the primary major funders and donors. Yeah. They're millionaires. Yeah,
so Taylor's very involved in got investments in big tech. Nvidia, Google, and Amazon, and so forth. But his biggest investment is with, I forgot the name of the company as well. This is my problem. I'm useless with names. McMahon, which is the world's biggest mining company, copper mining.
Right.
So obviously, the digital transformation, the demand for copper is going to go. It is going through the roof. So he's definitely got his bread buttered on the side of the digital transformation, which is all very good for him. And lo and behold, he comes out. No, Chin is. He got the 2024 award from the Israeli state for services to the Israeli state. He got a medal of honor from the Israeli state.
Oh, for God's sake!
So he's
He's a Zionist.
Yeah, he's very involved in Zionist causes in the UK, and he's also bankrolling Labour Together. I mean, then they're the two most prominent, but there are others, obviously. I mean, it's not just them, but there are two, but they're bankrolling Labour Together, and Labour Together has fronted up the flim flam of the brick card. So Labour Together put out the notion of the brick card and quite openly stated it when they put the idea out for the brick card, which I think was in June, maybe, or a bit earlier, when they formally announced it. I mean, they've been playing around with it for a few years.
Oh, by the way, sorry. So yeah, Chin is described as a Jewish community grandee. So yeah, chairman and president of the United Jewish Israel Appeal. Yeah, and Movement for Reform of Judaism, and they've funded Tony Blair, Ruth Smeeth, Liz Kendall, Tom Watson, Dan Jarvis, Owen Smith, Rachel Reeves, Wes Streeting, all these wonderful, and Keir Starmer, of course, all these wonderful politicians. Anyway, let's go back to what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah, and Smeath is another interesting one because Smeath is definitely connected to the intelligence agency. So you know, they're the people, the kind of network of people that are put forward the notion of the brick card. I'm not saying it's their idea, but they were given the task with putting it forward. And very interesting, when they launched the brick card, they initially said that, I can't remember the exact phrasing, was we need it to allow or to enable people who are allowed to participate in society, to function in society, and to exclude those who are not allowed to participate in society. So it should be very clear to everybody what digital ID is really about. What it is really about is having the power over you to either allow you to participate in society or exclude you from participating in society. That's it.
It's got nothing to do with illegal migrants, has it?
No. It's got nothing to do with that.
So people like you and I, they won't let us participate.
No, we won't be allowed to participate.
What are we going to do?
Well, that's a good question. You know, I mean, things like the old payment platforms and stuff like that. I'm just sort of scraping by on at the moment. We won't be allowed to access them. That's the point of digital ID. People don't understand what digital ID is because they've been given this notion that it's brick card. Brick card is not digital ID. Brick card is a potential gateway into the digital ID prison. Yeah, it's a potential way of getting you to on board, which means to accept and take on these things. In the UK, we already have digital ID. We've got your driving license is a biometric digital ID product. It's got a thing called a machine readable zone on it, so it can be scanned by compliant systems that can extract all the data from your driving license. Your passport's the same. They don't need to read it. They can just go bip, scan it, and all your data that's contained on the machine readable zone, the chips and things like that, is extracted automatically.
Your phone, it's just getting interference. Yeah, perfect. Carry on.
Is extracted automatically, from your digital ID products. Things like your bank card, the chip on your bank card, that contains all your private financial information. Similarly, that can be scanned if you have the right systems. So we already have digital ID in the UK. We've had it for years. Anybody that's had a driving license or a passport issued in the last 10 years for the driving license, probably about the last 5 or 6 years for the passport, has got full-blown digital ID. That's they've already got it. Now, the system currently isn't what they call interoperable. So all the data that is extracted from these individual digital ID products sits in what they call a data silo. So it's siloed. So your driving license, mainly that is overseen by the DVLA. So it's in the DVLA data silo. That isn't linked. Your bank card is in the, whatever your bank is, Barclays or whatever, that's in the Barclays data silo. So these two systems aren't necessarily linked together.
They're not talking to each other.
They're not talking to each other. They're not linked.
Yeah.
Now, what the idea of interoperability is to make it so that at the back end, so you Barclays will still run its database, the DVLA will still run its database. But at the back end, software like Palantir Gotham, which is what the government have got, the UK government have got Palantir Gotham, it can take data from any source in any format and convert it into a single exchangeable format that can then be centralized. So they can extract all the data out of the driving license, and they can extract all the data out of your bank card.
Make sure it's linked. And
put it together, meld it together into one thing. Now, that's not done by Barclays, and that's not done by the DVLA. It's done in the background what Lewis Mosley, who was the UK representative for Palantir Technologies, called very casually called the back end. The back end is true digital ID. That is how our digital IDs will be formed. Now, at the moment, though we've got the individual digital ID products, we haven't got the complete system, or rather, I'll put it another way, the government and its partners don't have access to this unified system. In order to get us to do that, they need some sort of gateway where we will give them our linking digital ID data. So that'll be our names, our dates of birth, our jobs, our, family history, our these kind of things, to create what they will call your official digital twin. So this will be you represented on the back end in this interoperable system as a digital facsimile of you. So once that is inserted, that is like the key to be inserted into the interoperable system. Once that is in, that forms the basis for software like Palantir Gotham and Palantir Foundry to then go out into the etherverse or whatever, to go out into the digital realm and start hoovering up all data from all your products in real time. And this is important, it's in real time. So somebody at the moment, let's take the example at the moment of, say you're a bank robber and the police want to track you, and maybe you're really a serious criminal and they want to find, and maybe they might go to someone like the National Security Agency or GCHQ or someone like that. They'll go and ask them to do a search on you. At the moment, GCHQ, for example, would have to search the DVLA database, search the banking records database, search the health records database to try and put a picture together of the suspect and track them. That's what they would have to do. And that may be very, I'm not saying they can't do that. They can do that, but it might, it's not a straightforward process, and they can do it, but it's harder. So with the system that they're building, True Digital ID, they won't have to do that, because True Digital ID will enable one AI. Let's be honest, it'll be AI, but let's say humans are still in the loop. If you're searching for somebody on the back end using real digital ID, you will just put their name in and it will tell you everything. It will not only tell you what they did an hour ago or yesterday or the day before, it will tell you what they are doing now. It will tell you where they are now. They're driving, they've got your driving license detail. They know what vehicle is registered to your driving license, and the cameras have picked you up driving here now. Your details are linked to your bank card. Your bank card's just bought a tin of beans in Tesco's now. So they can find you now and track you now. And then when that's happening, all the time you are interacting with the world around you, just doing your normal everyday stuff, you are building the history of your digital twin. So companies like Experian, who are, as most of us probably know, are a data broker. They do credit checks on us. They are part of the government's OneID gov.uk login, which is run by Government Digital Services, which is part of I can't remember the part of the department now, but they run their partners. So that's a multinational private company that has access to all this data that the government want us to hand over to them.
And they'll sell it on to other people. That's
their business. Their business is selling data. So they'll say, one of the interesting things that they say in particular is that they say that we hand this data over to our partners and to our customers. Now, this is very interesting. It says it may be, or no, I think they say where possible, it will be anonymous or pseudonymous. Where possible. So that means it's not always possible. So when is it not possible? Well, when we decide it's not possible. So
and isn't this whole thing a load of bullshit? Because they're selling it to us like it's about fraud prevention, and it's about, you know, people hacking you, and we want to make sure it's really you. You know, this whole zero trust, verify always crap. But the reality is, they've even failed their safety certificate, and hacking happens all the time.
Yeah.
And we put all of our information in the system,
Yeah.
and some piece of shit somewhere in Romania is going to hack our stuff. And this is real.
Yeah.
Folks, as you know, I have no sponsors for the show, but I have got 4 affiliate codes with companies that I work with. And I've used these companies and I've used their products, and that's why I recommend them. The first is Hunter and Gather. They produce a range of food products without seed oils in them, from olive oil, MCT, ghee, mayonnaise, whatever. It's fantastic. We've been using it for years, and I'm delighted that I'm working with them. If you visit my website, go to affiliates, you'll see my code, and please make sure to use it when you're ordering anything. Another one is Sea Greens. Now that's based from seaweed, and it provides you with biocompatible iodine, which is essential for your thyroid and hormonal health, as well as all the essential micronutrients. If you want to know more about it, there's a podcast that I did with Simon Ranger. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, all the details are on my website. Then there's a water distiller company that I use. And then lastly, a sauna company, Heracles Wellness. They do a range of things from hyperbaric oxygen to saunas to cold plunge. And again, I've done a podcast with Keith Wareski, who is one of the owners of that company, and it talks about the benefit of sauna and cold plunge. So folks, do visit my website, docmalik.com. If you go to the top bar, there's an affiliate section, and all the details are there, as well as all the codes and discounts. Okay, folks, back to the show.
No, it's hopelessly insecure. I mean, the idea that they're saying that this will be safer and this will prevent crime. Why? On the contrary, you are just creating the perfect system to commit crime. I mean, we recently had a case, I think it was concluded last year, where there were a team of Bulgarian hackers and fraudsters who, over, I think between 2016 and 2021, defrauded the Department of Work and Pensions out of £53 million worth in fraudulent benefit claims. £54 million worth of fraudulent benefit claims. Now, they did that by accessing what was then the Universal Credit online gateway. That's how that is how they committed the fraud. They wouldn't have been able to do it without that system. That system was necessary for them to commit the fraud. Then that same system, the Universal Credit Gateway login, has now been subsumed by one login, which is a single sign-on system, an SSO system, which failed its own, which whistleblower. There was a team of whistleblowers who said that it was so insecure. You got crazy things like developers leaving their laptops in Romania, unsecure laptops, people developing parts of apps in Romania when GDS, the government service, the digital service that is supposed to be overseeing this, didn't even know. They didn't know that people were they didn't know where their developers were. They didn't know where they were. People. So it lost its own digital the DIATF attributes trust framework. Attributes trust framework. So that's the accreditation for cybersecurity, supposedly, or the body that is supposed to oversee cybersecurity. So one login, which is the government portal into all government services. It's not yet. There's only 47 government services that it's the portal into. But they've said that by December 2027, all government services, you will only be able to access it through one login, which is what they really want us to get into. That's what they really want us to do, but they don't want us to think it's digital ID. They want to think it's a government service. It's not. This is you creating your digital twin. Once you log into one login, you are giving them that key bit of data that on the back end, Palantir and other companies and Oracle and companies like that can use to bring the whole thing together. So that's key. That's really important. But anyway, it lost its accreditation. So it's by its own cybersecurity standards, it is not safe. It hasn't got that accreditation back. It still hasn't got it. And yet the government are suggesting that we all use it. So to be clear, it is not an accredited, certified online portal. It is the opposite. It is a failed, risky, high risk, potentially dangerous online portal. But the government wants us all to use it.
What the fuck? Ah, man. Back to your key thing. We've already got digital ID.
Mm.
We've already created a digital prison.
Yeah.
Most of us have already walked into it.
Yeah.
Biometric scanning, face recognition,
yeah,
store cards, you name it. We're all in there in that system.
Yeah.
We walked in. But right now the door's open, it's unlocked.
Yeah.
Now they want to put a key in the door,
mm-hmm.
and then they'll shut the door,
mm-hmm.
then they'll turn the lock.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I mean by that is once they've got all of us on the one login, then they've got the wallet, then they've got the digital currency, then they start programming it and then say, Ahmed, you just had venison sausages with Iain Davis.
Mm-hmm.
You had quite a lot, didn't we?
They were very nice, yeah. Fantastic venison sausages.
But now, Ahmed, your carbon footprint's too much.
Yeah.
For the remaining 29 days of this month, you're going to have to eat mealworm. I mean, that's literally what they could say.
Yeah, well, it's not what
Iain Davis, you went on Ahmed Malik's podcast.
Mm.
We're going to turn off your money supply now.
Yeah.
Because Ahmed Malik is a dangerous individual and being associated with him, I mean, that's just not, for the greater good, you just did the wrong thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's reality, isn't it? It sounds dystopian and crazy, but this is possible, isn't it?
Well, that's the point. I think you know, if you're testing the validity of a law or a piece of legislation, it's normally done by testing it with an extreme example. So if you use an extreme example, then, and does that logically work in that extreme example, then if it doesn't, then obviously there's something wrong with it. So when we talk about digital ID, yes, that is potentially what they've got in mind. It gives them the ability, if we forget about programmable digital currency, which is coming, just think about the system that we've currently got or what they want to turn it into. Things like registering your tax. Things like reporting a lost or stolen passport. Things like registering your marriage. All these kind of functional things that we have to do through the course of our life, preparing for our retirement, all this kind of financial planning and all that kind of stuff, where we inevitably have to interact either with the government or one of its partners, like the banks. What they are suggesting will be better and safer and more convenient for us is if those groups, the government and their private sector partners, have total control and oversight of every single part of that process throughout your life. That is what they are suggesting. That is their plan. Now, you could say, well, all right, well, that's okay. I mean, you know, we have to do this stuff anyway, so what difference does it make? Well, the difference that it makes, as you quite rightly said, is if they are observing every aspect of your life in real time, everyone, and I think people need to understand what AI means, what it means to the difference that it has made, the technological difference. Because systems that even if you had a team of bureaucrats, an office with 110,000 bureaucrats in it, they couldn't possibly monitor us all the time. There's just too many of us. And certainly on a global scale, it couldn't be done. AI makes that possible. AI makes it possible to monitor us all the time. So as you quite rightly say, if we take what's happened on X, for example, where people have made comments and they've subsequently fallen foul of the law. So that's quite the rights and wrongs of it. Doesn't matter about that. The point is, someone needs to report a potential offence. It needs to be investigated. There needs to be a trial of some sort, and that needs to involve the court process and everything. So that's quite a long process. The system that they want to get to is they don't have to bother with any of that. If you say something that the system doesn't like, and that will be an AI algorithm, not an individual sitting in an office, it will be an AI algorithm. If the AI algorithm doesn't like what you said on X, then it just switches you off. You are barred from getting on X. You are barred from whatever it wants to bar you from, whatever it deems appropriate according to how it's been programmed. And it will have been this is key. Although AI is an algorithm, it is programmed by human beings with agendas. So human beings with agendas train AI to do whatever it is they want it to do. But it will be instantaneous. No court process, no due process, no. And then who are you going to complain to? The only thing you complain to, the only way that you've got to redress, because you haven't gone through a judicial process, you haven't been officially punished. You've just been cut off. So who do you go to get redress? An AI algorithm? Who do you say? Well, hang on a minute, that's not right. Too late. It's not. There's no coming back. It's done. You've been switched off. That's the system that they are proposing. They're seriously proposing this system. So I think, although people might say, "Well, I'm all right. I'm an honest citizen. I've got nothing to worry about." That is no logical argument for allowing a system like that to have such control over your life, whether you're an honest, law-abiding, good citizen or not. To say it's therefore okay for a centralised digital system to be able to cut me off from society completely at the flick of an AI switch, that's not a rational argument. That is no rational argument. If as the government says, this is all about safety and our convenience and so forth. If that's all it's about, then there should be no problem with us choosing to have an alternative system. Say, well, thank you very much. We hear what you say. We appreciate all the effort that you've gone to make things more convenient and safer for us. But we would prefer not to use your digital ID system. So what we are going to do is we will take the responsibility ourselves, and we realise that we still have to do things like file tax records, and we're not intending to break the law in any way. We are intending to be responsible, honest citizens, but we'll do it ourselves. So we'll set up specialist businesses or maybe voluntary places where we'll do it by paperwork, and we'll tell you we'll file the paperwork with the correct office if you want us to do that. But you need to provide us with a separate, more traditional. And I mean, there are other reasons why they need to do that as well. It's not just about people that don't want to comply with digital ID. There are lots of people in the UK, a lot of older people who haven't got a clue. They don't know how this stuff works. They wouldn't know how to use it anyway. They haven't got apps. They haven't got smartphones. They don't even use computers. So they need to be catered for. You can't just say, oh, well, forget about them. Everybody over the age of 70 will just forget about them. So there needs to be, the government needs to provide but this is the big if it is not about control. If it is about control, then they're not going to bother. They're going to say everything will be digital. And that is clearly where they're heading. That is clearly the trajectory that they're heading in. by December 2027, they say that the only way to interact with government services will be through one login, which means all of us will have to give that key little parcel of data to the system, which will then enable this interoperable, true digital ID system. Now, BrickCard has got nothing to do with that. Nothing. BrickCard is a
PSYOP.
It's a PSYOP, yeah. So it's clear. I mean, Kit Knightley made a very good point about this when BrickCard was first discussed back in June or July of this year. And the very good point he made is, we've got all this digital infrastructure. Government and its private sector partners have spent billions putting all this together. It is everywhere. Where do you think all this infrastructure comes from? Who's paying for it? You know, who's paying for all the cameras and the digital screening systems and the constant online kind of interactions that we have with government departments and companies like Experian? This all has been put together piece by piece over more than a decade, and it costs a lot of money. This is a big global project, and that's another point. It's global, it's not national. But nonetheless, as Kit Knightley rightly pointed out, currently the government is saying with BrickCard that whole thing, that whole system pivots on whether or not you get one app. So you can just, I mean, how easy is it not to get that app? You just go, well, I haven't got a smartphone. End of. It is not plausible that the government would be serious about this massive agenda that they have been rolling out for years, and that boils down to whether or not you choose to have one app. That's just ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So BrickCard is a PSYOP. Now, does that mean that people like Tony Blair, who's backed by Larry Ellison, Larry Ellison's his bank,
257 million. Dude, you talked about Labour Together.
Yeah.
That's pocket change.
Yeah.
Larry Ellison has given the Tony Blair Institute in the last 4 years $250 million.
Yeah.
Dude, what the fuck does an institute, like, you could, like, for like 1% of that, you and I would be like laughing.
Yeah.
Like, it would be like our life would be so much easier. What do you do with 250 million?
Well, you pay for global propaganda campaigns, which is what Blair's been doing. I mean, he's been going around, you know, you see him in Dubai and, you know, and everywhere he goes, Davos and the United States, holding his PR campaign chats and getting everybody on board, getting all the movers and shakers on board with the agenda. That's what 250 billion buys you. And
Million,
yeah, 250 million buys you. That's why he's bankrolling him, so that he can be that emissary for the digital transformation, which is what Blair is. But I mean, if anyone's a puppet, it's Blair. And that's a clear example of how the relationship works between the oligarch and the puppet politician. I know he's a former politician. And obviously Blair's done very well out of it himself. I mean, Blair's, you know, a multimillionaire himself, so he gets good coin out of it as well. But that relationship is obviously dominated by Ellison. And Ellison runs Oracle, which again has got a big contract with the British government for the digital transformation of the British government. Oracle, without beating around the bush, is a CIA front. Oracle was started by the CIA. Oracle was run by the CIA for, I mean, you know, people like Gilman Louis and people like that. Gilman Louis, who was in charge of InQtel, seed-funded groups like Palantir, and Palantir, same as Oracle.
This is what I mean. They're all CIA fronts.
They are CIA fronts, yeah. I mean, I think it, you know, obviously like the leadership of Palantir and the leadership of Oracle as well, they have autonomy. You know, they make their own way, but their bread is buttered by representing the national security state. That is how their bread is buttered. So when the Oracle is in charge of the digital transformation of the British government, that means that digital transformation will be amenable to the interests of the US government.
Didn't Oracle invest heavily in China's digital infrastructure?
Yeah.
Didn't it create their whole social credit system and everything? I thought that's how China got what it is, because of Oracle.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just Oracle.
I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It wasn't an intrinsic homegrown effort. Oracle was a big part to play in that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of what they call foreign direct investment. When Deng Xiaoping opened up China in 1978, 79, and then when it really kicked off in 1980s, when he was kind of more firmly in office, you had people like Kissinger going over there and preparing the ground for what was the digital transformation of China in this case, which was achieved largely by foreign direct investment. And foreign direct investment coming from Western corporations, Microsoft, Oracle, not then, because Oracle weren't about then, but now. That's been an ongoing process for many, many, many years. For what now? 2025, so 45 years that's been going on. So there were decisions taken, like the decision taken by the Clinton administration, for example, to allow what they called the transfer of what they call sensitive technology from the US to China to help it build its technological infrastructure. So that's been going on for many years. And I think the very interesting thing about foreign direct investment is what it entails, because it isn't just money. It's agreements, partnership agreements. It's a transfer of technology. It's often a transfer of personnel in both directions. So it's about working together, really, a foreign direct investment agreement. So, and that's for the benefit, obviously, of the host nation, because why would it do it otherwise? But it's also for the benefit of the investors, and it's for the benefit of the technology company as well. In this case, if it's a technological FDI, then it's for the benefit of them as well, because they're perhaps testing software capability or testing hardware or testing and using China in this case as a kind of test bed. So that's the way that stuff works. That's the way that stuff works. And China's remarkable economic and digital transformation over the last 50 years could not have happened without Western technological transfers and funding from banks, multinational banks. That's how it works. So that's. Do
you think the West is undergoing a controlled demolition, and the East is being set up to rise?
I think there's a leveling out. There's a leveling out. So the disparate because the people that want a for want of a better expression, it is called today the multipolar world order, the multipolar world. What they have been looking for years, or trying to achieve for years, is a regional balance of power system. So where, you might have something like the European Union, the Asian Union, the North American Union. So these unions, these supranational bodies, will be the seats of power globally. But obviously within that, subsumed into that, are nation states. You don't want a very powerful nation state that can, like currently we have the situation with the United States militarily is, that's a good example. Currently, the United States military is unparalleled in its scale and its technological capability at scale. But China is certainly catching up. China is catching up in fact, China is probably leading technologically. Technologically, it's leading. And certain to an extent, so is Russia. I mean, if you look at things like, hypersonic missiles, which China's got, India's got, Russia's got, the US hasn't, apparently. But I mean, whether we can believe, I find I find if you look at the history of how hypersonic missiles were developed, we are supposed to believe that the Western military-industrial complex just can't get it right. Try as they might, they just can't get it right. I find that very hard to believe. They've been, this technology. I mean, there are videos on YouTube explaining the technology. So how these ramjet engines and how they work. So how suddenly the Western military-industrial complex can't do that, or is lagging behind for the first time in the last 70, 80 years. I mean, it's possible, of course it's possible. But I mean, I just find it rather silly. So what that does is that creates now, so in this example, a regional military balance of power. So you've got although
do they want it like the 1984 where they've got like Oceania and all that kind of stuff? Like, they want these large groupings, but effectively it's just a one world government.
I think ultimately that they want, very firm global governance. But the question is how are they going to get us to go along with that, and how are they going to implement it? So,
because look, to be honest, we already have a one world government. All we have are these proxy governments, these facades pretending to be sovereign nations.
Yeah.
When all the decisions are being made, like even this global push for digital ID, the way, again, it's just like COVID years, everything is in lockstep. Canada's marching ahead, Australia's marching ahead, America's marching ahead, EU's fully on board. Like, everyone is doing the same thing at the same time, just in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
It's insane, the parallels and the lockstep nature of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel organic. It feels like, I was saying to you again off air, it feels like everything is accelerating, and it's a global acceleration towards this dystopian future. This is what I mean. It's coordinated. It's a one world government thing.
Yeah, I think one world governance and government is what they want, as in a formal structure. So there's a big difference between a formal government authoritarian structure and what's going on behind the scenes. They're not the same thing.
I agree.
Right. So there is definitely what I have written about, something I've called the global public-private partnership, where multinational corporations are working together on the development of technology, for example, on the development of technology, and for it also on the development of policy. So the global think tanks like the Club of Rome and, the Bilderberg Group, the Aspen Institute, and groups like this.
There's hundreds of them, aren't there?
Yeah, the think tanks put the policies together based on an agenda. Normally that coagulates around the United Nations, so the United Nations comes up with a set of policy agenda, which has been fed through and in consultation with the think tanks, the privately funded think tanks, by the way, not the government ones. So, for example, in China, we've got government think tanks that contribute greatly to the development of policy in China, but those think tanks are also public-private partnerships. So they're partnerships often between things like research facilities and groups like Alibaba. So they're public-private partnerships. They're working together to develop policy, and then that feeds through to the Chinese government, and it's the same everywhere else. And what you end up with is a globalist push for a policy agenda. The clearest obvious example is sustainable development. Sustainable development is everywhere. It's everywhere on the planet. And it's really, the government's role is to create what they call the enabling environment. And this isn't me saying this. This is what the UN say the government's role is. So the enabling environment is the policy framework and usually the financial rails, which will probably be run by private commercial banks, to enable the policy to take shape in your country. So the government is reduced to really
a nodding head.
A nodding head bureaucracy that stamps the...
It's like that little dog on the dashboard just nodding away.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what your government is. Yeah, so it's a mid-level bureaucracy. So...
And the UN, I can't stand the UN. Totally undemocratic, unaccountable, not responsible to anybody. And they're beholden to their private donors. Just take the WHO, the biggest, most powerful group in the UN, funded 80% by private donors. Gavi, Bill and Melinda Gates. And then they dictate policy that affects billions of lives.
Yeah.
Take the vaccine, take this. That's a classic example of public-private partnership, and then capturing governments who just do the bidding of the UN. Who the fuck is the UN? It's just undemocratic.
The UN was
funded by their place was funded by the Rockefellers. They gave the land, everything. They were behind it. They love that, and the rich people get invited in there to talk. Larry Fink gets invited into 10 Downing Street. Money speaks. Money opens doors for you, and it's like because you're the guys that are pulling all the strings.
Yeah. I mean, interesting. I mean, there's a very good piece of research that was done by a French academic, and I'm going to ruin his name. Tournay is his surname. I can't remember his first name. I think it might be Ludovic. I'm not sure. But he studied the formation of the United Nations, but rather than the potted official history we're given about a meeting of the minds between the powers, post World War powers, and them the political class getting together and deciding that we needed a body that would save humanity, which is the official story about how the United Nations formed. He looked at the influence of the Rockefeller Foundation, at the time, and as well as some others, the Carnegies, but mainly the Rockefeller Foundation, which designed the UN. It designed it. It designed its bureaucracy. It designed its. It even introduced the for want of what is today called the Secretariat. The members of the bureaucrats that formed the Secretariat, it was the Rockefellers that introduced them to, quote, a global network. So that would have been the Rockefellers network. So it was formed, the UN was formed, if you read his work, which I've referenced a fair few times in quite a few things I've done, so you should be able to find it, and read what his research. So he's an academic, he's got no axe to grind. He didn't use the word oligarch, for example. I'm using the word oligarch, he didn't. He was just looking at the history of how it started and who was behind it. And it was money that was behind it, big global money that was behind the formation of the UN. Sure, there was a parallel political rationale going along with that. But when the Rockefellers, because they were also very deeply involved with the creation of the League of Nations, when they were asked what it was that they wanted from the League of Nations, they wanted, quote unquote, a global government of experts. Well, that's a technocracy. That's what technocracy is, which, well, it's part of technocracy. It's a big part of it, which is what they were very interested in as well during the 1930s in America with Technocracy Inc. The Rockefellers were deeply involved in supporting and pushing forward their agenda. And what we are seeing now with things like digital ID is the rollout of technocracy globally. So that's a fairly clear historical lineage that you can follow. This is not. And again,
modern day technocracy is just like digital communism.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than that. I mean, we don't have
energy credits and resource allocation and all that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, at the end of the day, it's about consolidation and control for those who are in charge, the oligarchs. They get to keep their money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's modern day serfdom.
Yeah.
They have their money. The age of consumption is over. They have all the resources, all the mines, all the means for production and everything. They don't need the consumers anymore because the age of consumption is over. Now it's the age of control and consolidation. They don't need as many of us. They got AI. They got robots. They got all this. They've got all the wealth. They've got all the resources. They just need to keep the lid on us, stop us from ever overthrowing them, ever getting too big for our own boots. And that's what everything is, I think. And they've also played at this Ponzi financial scheme to the bitter end. They knew it was going to fail because as they designed it, they knew that it's got a lifespan to it.
Mm.
And now they're like, well, we're keeping this thing alive like a dead zombie, but we need to pull the plug. But we need to do it in such a way that we still are on top financially in the next system.
Mm.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about that, isn't it, in a nutshell?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, nothing's changed. It's
just the methods and the means.
Yeah, the methods and the means have changed. It's always the same. It's a small group of people wielding authority over everybody else.
How do we get rid of them?
Well, I don't think we can get rid of them. I mean, what we can do,
string them up?
we need to learn to live
hang them high. Hang them high. I'm gonna round myself up a posse and hang them high.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, we don't need to. I mean, one thing I would say...
I'm not condoning violence.
Yeah, no, I know. But one thing I would say is that I'm not sure that they are going to get rid of the financial system because they fixed it. They have got a plan to fix it.
Have they?
Yeah.
Well,
it's tokenization, okay? If you can tokenize this desk and turn it into...
It's a nice desk.
Yeah, it's a nice desk. So why not tokenize it and turn it into a financial asset and sell it on a digital blockchain? Because that's what they want to do. So that if they can tokenize everything, so tokenize the trees, tokenize the sea, tokenize everything.
I don't get that. Who's going to buy that shit?
Well, oil drilling platforms might need to buy a bit of the ocean when it's tokenized. Then they can buy it rather than seek for, drilling rights. They can buy that bit of the ocean.
But from who?
From the people that have tokenized it. So tokenization...
It was never theirs to sell.
No, of course, they've got no ownership rights over it in the first place, but that doesn't matter.
It's like Israel. We're going to give you a bunch of white European Jews who've been persecuted by other white Europeans a piece of land that isn't ours to give and isn't yours to take. But they did it.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they don't have to actually own it to claim ownership rights over it.
This is what I'm saying.
To just say, well, we own that. Who said? We do. Okay. That's how it works. So tokenization. So this is all tied up with sustainable development. I'm going to get into this kind of knotted deep weeds, but here we go. Sustainable development creates the impetus for this is actually in Agenda 21, which is a non-binding UN agreement.
Was that Marcus Strong or whatever?
Yeah, Marie Strong.
But
Agenda 21 is non-binding. Everybody says, "Oh, don't worry about that. It's non-binding." Well, how come if it's non-binding, every government and corporation on the planet is rigidly adhering to it? And if it's non-binding.
Yeah, and this whole SDG DEI is what eventually cost my career. That's what they used it on. That's because these hospitals, I think the medical officers were being told, listen, by whoever was above them, if you don't get rid of this pesky doctor surgeon, we're going to struggle to raise finances and loans and blah, blah, blah. We're going to have higher interest rate charges. This fucking character, Mr. Malik, Dr. Malik, you need to get rid of him. And if you don't get rid of him, we're going to get rid of you. We'll find someone else to do it. And then that person goes, all right, fine. And then, makes my life hell and gets rid of me.
Yep.
But, it was DEI, ESG, transphobic, anti-vaxxer, blah, blah, blah. It's not good for business.
I wonder if it would have worked if you'd have said, yeah, but it's non-binding. It's non-binding.
Non-binding?
Look, here's the paperwork. It says it's non-binding. That's... Which is meaningless if people are committed to it, which they are. Agenda 21 sets up this idea of an ecosystem service. An ecosystem service. What the hell's an ecosystem service? Well, an ecosystem service is a water source because that is providing an ecosystem service to the local town. Because without the water source, they wouldn't have anything to drink. They wouldn't have any water. So therefore, there's a financial value to that ecosystem service. That water source is worth something. So let's tokenize it, put it on the blockchain, give it a monetary value and sell it.
Who's going to buy it?
Well, development companies, anybody that wants to control the village, you know, you can.
This is just so fucked up.
But it gets better. So
do you know what I hate? I hate financial instruments. I hate the City of London because whenever I speak to someone from that world, they talk about how they make money in derivatives and contracts and fucking bullshit. Just make stuff and sell it.
Yeah,
this whole, but if the price goes up, then I'm going to sell it, and then I'm going to place a bet on that, and then I'm going to do a futures contract, and then I'm going to sell short or sell long. Fucking hell, stop it.
Yeah.
It's gambling, sophisticated gambling.
Well, I wouldn't say it was that sophisticated.
But
It's
you know
just
what I
gambling.
mean? Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, real money, real worth isn't being produced, and it's just being sapped and drained and stolen from other people.
Yeah. So I mean, if the estimated value, at the moment of, if you take in, all GDP, all products and services provided through what we would consider reasonably normal economic activity on the earth, every year about 500 and odd trillion dollars.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Right, so it's about that. It varies, but about that, right? Including everything. Global GDP annually is about $100 trillion. But the value of if you then add the value of the assets and everything, call it 500 trillion. They're talking about a 4 to 5 quadrillion dollar natural asset economy. So that's 10 times the size.
So is that why they want to do it?
Yeah. So if you've got that much capital and that much asset value, if you're the US and you've got a 38 billion or whatever it is, $38 trillion, whatever it is, deficit, that's debt, sorry, and you're constantly running at a huge $1 billion deficit, right? If that's on the liability side of your business's balance sheet, you're in trouble. Unless you've got a tremendous amount of asset value on the other side of the balance sheet. Suddenly, that debt is no big deal, because look at all my assets. That's enormous. I don't need the debt. Who cares about the debt? Let's just carry on expanding the monetary supply. So
instead of having gold and gold reserves, now you're just commercializing every piece of blade of grass and everything, and saying this is the real worth. This is our real,
sticking a monetary value.
It's just creating digital gold.
Yeah.
To put in their digital reserve system.
Yeah, which will probably be held in a digital gold currency simulacrum, which looks like it'll probably be Bitcoin. So that's where the store of value will be.
I'm not a fan of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is on the blockchain. Every transaction is monitored and seen. It's all transparent. There is no privacy.
No.
It can be shut off anytime.
Yep.
Like, how's it? People say it's freedom. The only thing that's good about it is it's a finite amount, so that you can't just keep pumping it out and devaluing and debasing. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But other than that,
no. I mean, and not only that, it's been captured by global corporations like BlackRock.
And I think there's they say it's peer to peer. No, you still need an intermediary to sell it to. You can't just do it typically on your phone to phone. Or can you?
We can. Yeah.
Can you? All right. Okay.
You can have offline wallets as well.
All right. Yeah. Cold wallets, hard wallets.
Yeah. So, but
you're right. All the big banks are into it now. And into it. So why are they all into it? If they're all into it,
it's a store of value, because it's inherently deflationary. It's a store of value, so it can be used as like a digital gold. In fact, Fink called it the new digital gold, or digital gold.
But all of this crypto stuff worries me. All this XRP and HBAR and Solana, what the frack, and Dogecoin. I just worry that these are all being used as financial instruments by the same evil people.
They are.
And being used to get us used to a digital currency. And then maybe one day they'll say, oh, these are all fraud and they all don't work. Now just use a central bank digital currency and it's backed by the government and it's safe. And then
Probably. I mean, it's right. The problem we've got is the same with the problem that we've got with nearly everything else.
big government.
Is big government and big corporate. And when I mean government, big government is a public-private partnership. It's a partnership between the public and the private sector. And government is, I would very strongly argue, is the subordinate partner.
But why?
Right. Why?
Yeah.
Well, I think so for you made a good
Country of 60 million people. Like,
yeah.
we're meant to be powerful and we're meant to be dictating terms to the companies.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? They don't want us to do that. So it's, as you quite rightly said, how does a small group of people rule everybody else? There needs to be mechanisms to enable to do that, other than brute force. And that's pretty much what it's about. And in a technological age, those tools and mechanisms are getting more sophisticated. So we can have a gilded cage. So we can, and that's the way that digital ID is being sold to us. It's convenience, it's ease, it's safety, it's making making best use of the digital transformation. It's not actually, it's making the worst possible use of the digital transformation.
I can hear people I know who'll be like, yeah, it's great. What's wrong with it?
Oh yeah, Pete, I know.
I got my passport straight away. It was so good.
Yeah.
How do we get through to these people?
Well, I don't know. Just say you don't mind. Fundamentally, you don't mind all your movements being tracked. You don't mind that. And then
yeah, I don't mind. I'm not doing anything wrong.
I'm not doing anything
wrong, so I don't care.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, you don't care about your liberty. You don't care about your freedom.
No.
You don't care.
Would you be happy living in a house just full of like glass walls and everybody could see you 24/7? Oh yeah, that'd be cool. That's the kind of mindset now.
Yeah, no, it will do. But that people will say that because they don't care about their freedom and their liberty. And
They really don't.
They don't care.
And then you know what? Honestly, Ian, part of me is like, the reason why we're in this shit show is because we've allowed it.
Yeah, totally.
We've so dropped the ball.
Then
you know what? If you act like a sheep, bow like a sheep, walk like a sheep,
you get treated like one.
You get treated like one, and you get slaughtered like one.
Yeah.
Like, don't be surprised then when it comes down, chop your head off. Like that's what happens.
Yeah. No, that's what is going to happen. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about reviews, folks. Many of you can't afford to do a paid subscription to my Spotify or Substack channel. And I know some of you might not want to buy the things from my affiliate page, but you can support my work by sharing my content, sending links to your friends and family and work colleagues. And, if there's a podcast that you thought was extremely interesting and enlightening. And also you can leave reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It is a bit tricky. You have to listen to a full episode, and then there's like 3 buttons at the top. You click that and then you leave a review and blah, blah, blah. 5 stars would be great if you can. And again, the reason why is the more reviews, the more attention the algorithms programming gives, so that it comes up high on people's search bars and lists. So the visibility is higher, and then hopefully I can get new audience. And this podcast is all about sharing the knowledge and getting as many people to wake up to the nonsense as possible. So if you can, please just take a few seconds and leave a review. Much appreciated. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
And people will then be very upset about it. But once they're inside the digital control system, it'll be too late because they won't be able to do anything about it. Particularly if it comes with digital money. But going back to the little, because it's quite an important point. Ironically, the underlying technology that is being used to control us, i.e. distributed ledger technology, let's say blockchain, could be used by us to free ourselves. It could be used by us to free ourselves, because what digital ledger technology enables you and I to do is to have a transaction between us, and that could be anything. It could be a financial transaction, or it could be a contract, or it could be whatever, right? We have a transaction between us that is cryptographically verified at either end of that transaction, so that we can trust the transaction. It's open source, and it is key. This is why Bitcoin is a model that is interesting, is that it is permissionless, right? No, we don't need a third-party arbitrator to like a bank, to authorize that transaction. You and I can just do it. right? And we can even attach smart contracts to it if we want, like a delivery versus payment smart contract, so that I sell you a T-shirt and your money is the transaction is stored on the immutable blockchain. So we have just made an immutable contract. We don't even have
Immutable means you cannot change it.
Cannot change it. We don't even have to know each other. We don't even have to know each other, but we will be identifiable if anybody looks or wants to look, right? So that transaction can take place between you and I, and we can be certain that that transaction is legitimate and honest because it's cryptographically signed off on the blockchain. So so that means that in business or in transaction or in running administrative services, such as government is supposed to do, we can trust each other because I know that deal's going to go through as we've committed to it.
But what happens if you commit it and you still don't go ahead with it?
Well, that's why you might put a smart contract on it, like DVP, delivery versus payment. So if I bought a T-shirt from you, the money has been part of the terms of the contract, which can be done instantly. It can be done instantly with digital technology. Would be that the money, while the money is held in the ether, if you like, it's just held in the blockchain. It isn't released to the selling party until I get the product. So that's mainly for digital services, for digital products. So I don't get the thing until I get the token or whatever it is that I'm supposed to be receiving into my wallet. But it could be physical. It could be like a T-shirt. So I acknowledge that I've got the T-shirt and the money's released to you.
What happens if I get the T-shirt and then I say I never got the T-shirt?
Well, no, because you've just proven on an open-ended, cryptographically signed-off system that you did get it. Because otherwise you wouldn't have agreed to the DVB, the delivery versus payment. So when you say that, you've just said that I have got the T-shirt. So this opens up a whole world of commerce and business without intermediaries. No banks.
I don't like intermediaries.
No, right. So that's the underlying potential. I mean, obviously there are massive problems with it. There are massive problems with how you would do that at scale. There are massive problems with how you would design that to functionally work with, you'd need massive data centers everywhere over the world, but they're building them anyway.
What's that doing to climate change?
Well, I mean, what are the estimates? I think that they said, if the digital transformation, and I can't remember who said this, I think it's the international, who's the IEA? Who's it? The International Electrical Engineers, anyway, the international authority for our kind of electrical grids and so forth. They said that if the digital transformation continues going at the pace it is at the moment and as envisaged, i.e. the expansion of the data centers, between now and 2050, it will be the equivalent of adding a Japan to the world every year in energy consumption.
Wow.
So it's adding a Japan, another Japan, every year between now and 2050. So if people think that is going to be done with windmills and sunshine panels, it's not. That's not going to happen. So if they're right, so this is the dark, scary side of it, isn't it? That assumes that the population still needs that much energy, the amount of energy that we need now, to run our houses and our homes and our lives. If that can be cut, so we either use a lot less energy, maybe there's a lot less of us, then that makes the digital transformation less onerous in terms of energy consumption.
Do you think we're going to get out of this? Because in my head right now, I've got this dystopian future where there's not very many of us. The few that are around are acting like they're agents. We're thugs. We're police officers for the system, for the technocrats. Everyone's obedient, compliant, doped up on soma, on their drugs, on their vapes, on their alcohol. No one challenges, because if you do, there's always that one guy who's homeless, who no one can speak to, doesn't have a phone, doesn't have any food, just eating out of bins because he's been cut out of the world. And the parents tell their children about that. That's what happens if you're not a good person. And everyone lives shorter lives because they're vaccinated, they're medicated, they're eating fucking processed gloop. And we're all in these little digital ghettos where you don't go out into the countryside. We're not allowed to. Our cars don't function. Our electric bikes don't work past the city limits. And out there in the countryside, you've got these hovercraft of rich fucking elite going hunting, eating venison, having steak, having estates the size of Belgium, lording over us, betting on us, looking at one digital ghetto city out over another and comparing notes and laughing. And the problem is most of humanity doesn't even know what freedom looks like. Most of humanity doesn't have the memory, doesn't have the history, doesn't have the knowledge. Forget Brave New World. There are no books. There are no texts. There's nothing taught. Robots teach children from home. Robots just say learn basic grammar, vocabulary, but they don't even have that much vocabulary, because the more words you have, the more ideas you can conceptualize. And that's dangerous. So we're just like a breeding stock. We're there to be farmed, maybe for organs, maybe genetic testing. Robots will be running everything, and the rich elite will become inbred, decadent. That's the future that might be out there for 200-300 years, 400 years.
Yeah.
And there's no getting out of it. And the only way it gets out of it is because the sick, inbred people at the top somehow fight with each other or get so fucking sick and diseased and die. And then this little tiny fragment of humanity, like some wild people and Eskimos, just suddenly rebreed and restock and reclaim. But I mean, it could be like a 2,000-year cycle. Sorry, it's a very dystopian little story. Just
God, I'm depressed.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You can see it. You can see that happening.
You can see it. You can see it, and clearly, you wouldn't want the level of control that they are trying to foist upon us through this digital transformation, especially through digital ID, and really acutely if it is linked to programmable digital money. Then we really are in deep, deep trouble, because your money can just be turned off for specific things. So I want to support your podcast. No, not that Iain Davis, he can't support his podcast. He's one of them. We will. AI will. And this is and I need to stress this. This is technologically possible now. They have already have systems like this in place. It's just a matter of getting us to go along with it, right? So in the case of programmable digital money linked to your digital ID, they look at Iain Davis, who is being monitored everywhere by every system at all times. They don't like his views. They don't like his attitude. So Iain Davis wants to support Ahmed Malik's podcast show. We will disable that transaction in real time now. So I will go press. I want to donate. And it will not happen because AI doesn't want it to happen.
Well, I think it's already happening.
It is already happening.
I'll tell you why. Because the number of people that tell me they can't sign up to my Substack, their payment gets declined, blah, blah, blah. What's that all about? Like, they just can't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
That is so.
Something's up.
So people need to think, right? Why are they constructing all that? What is the point? Now, ultimately, the point is ultimate control. But why? Why? I mean, I don't get it. I just cannot, for the life of me, figure out why anyone would want to tell somebody else what to do. Why do you want to do that? Right. So because I can't figure that out, it doesn't mean that there aren't people out there, as you were saying earlier, that don't want to do it. Now, they do want to control us. But what is the underlying driver? What is driving them? The thing that is driving them is fear. They are absolutely terrified of losing control. So what are they worried about? They're worried about us. They're worried about what we might do. If you look at throughout history, certainly modern history, because otherwise it gets ridiculous. You go back thousands of years, but the same is true. But let's just look at post-Second World War history. Every attempt introducing digital ID in the post-war, we got rid of that in 1952 in the UK. Blair tried it again in the noughties and 22. He got kicked out of office, not necessarily because of that, but that was part of the reasons he got kicked out of office. They keep trying and trying and trying to control us because they fear what we might do if we are not controlled. And we just have to realise that we have the power. This is so, so important. We have the power. They actually have none. The only reason we perceive them to have power is because we believe it.
And we give it to them.
We consent. We comply. All we have to do is not consent and not comply. Now, the reason that this digital system is so attractive to them, and the reason that they're rolling it out at a great rate of knots, the race is on, is because once we are in it, then whether we comply or not is less important, far, far less important, because we've already complied and now they have an exquisite control system, right? A really exquisite control system. So you can't buy what you want to buy from who you want to buy when you want to buy it. That is some change in our relationship with the quote-unquote state. And you and I were discussing off air earlier, there's no reason to think that even government, as we know it, will continue to exist. There are groups like we were talking about these American Silicon Valley oligarchs, Thiel and Anderson, and people like Balaji Srinivasan and people like that. They envisage a world with no government.
Corporations.
Corporate controlled. They call them sovereign corporations.
Do you remember like Blade Runner?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Do you remember like Aliens, like the TV series?
Yeah, Skynet.
All that. It's corporations that run.
Yeah, so
countries.
So there are people in power, in positions of immense power, people like Thiel and Musk, who are committed to a world without government. But what's going to rule instead of government? Corporations, sovereign corporations. They're absolutely committed to doing that. They're not just committed to the ideology that underpins it, something called the Dark Enlightenment and technocracy. They're not only are they committed to it ideologically, although whether that's just a convenient fop for what they want to do, I don't know, but they seem to be ideologically committed to it. They are putting the systems in place to enable that to happen.
And this has happened before.
Yeah.
The East India Company.
Yeah.
The East India Company ran India. Millions, hundreds of millions of people in there. They ran it like a country. It's not something new.
No, it's not new.
Can happen. But okay, listen, we're going to wrap up soon. In a nutshell, what can people do to stop all this?
I think the first thing and digital ID is a good place a lens to see it through, I think. So to stop digital ID, the first thing we must do is not comply. That is essential, because compliance is complete capitulation. If you comply, you have capitulated. Once you're in, you've stepped over that Rubicon. Once you've signed up to one login, which is really what they want you to do, forget about BritCard. Obviously, we need to reject BritCard, but obviously BritCard is going to be rejected. You know, the 2.5 million people signed a petition supposedly in one day. You know, but that kind of response is unprecedented.
So you don't sign up to one login, but then they say, well, if you don't do that, then your company's going to be dissolved. You're not going to be able to make money, blah, blah, blah. What do you do?
Yeah. So we'll be cut off from payment. Ultimately, this is the way it will work. You'll be cut off from finances. That is the result of what they're going to do. So don't be under any illusions, I think.
There might be some short-term pain.
If we do not comply, they're going to punish you and us. They are going to punish us, because this is the game for all the marbles. They really want us to go along with this. This is SDG 16.9. It's a global governance policy initiative that has been ongoing for now more than a decade. They really want us to go with this because then they can control everything that we do. So if we don't, there will be hardship, right? So then it just comes down to numbers. How many of us are not going to comply? I don't think the vast majority probably will, 75% will probably sign up on the first day. But if it's a substantial minority, if it's a couple of few million, in the UK, let's say it's the people that sign the petition, wishful thinking, let's say it's 3 million people. When 3 million people start getting pushed out of society and shoved to the fringes of society, impoverished, put on the breadline, their lives destroyed, that is not going to work for the government. That won't work for the government. That number of British people in that kind of predicament is not manageable for the government. There will be armed insurrection if they do that. So, what are they going to do? They're going to have to deal. They're going to have to make a deal. At some point, they'll have to make, if enough people stand up now. If it's just a handful, if it's just a couple of 100,000, well, then they could die. Who cares about them? But if it's a significant minority, millions, then they will have to cut a deal. They'll have to think about it. Ultimately, what we could do is, I think, and I'm no legal expert, I know nothing about the law, really, but it seems to me that there are provisions in things like the 1688 Bill of Rights.
This is completely anti-constitutional, brother.
It's anti-constitutional, yeah.
100%.
You're just
unreasonable use of the government. Yeah, I've seen it in the Constitution. I was looking it up. I'll look it up later. But it's totally anti-constitution. But listen, even bigger than that, how the fuck do we overthrow these assholes?
Right, I don't think we should even try. Because if you set foot on their battlefield, you've lost. If you set foot on their confrontational, everything is designed around confrontation. Everything is designed to draw you into a fight, to draw you into a battle with them on their terms. Using legal means or whatever, right? Which is important. I'm not saying don't use peaceable means to make your point. I'm not saying that at all. Protest, again, important. But it's their terms. They've set the terms. The controllers, call them what you want to like. I personally am using the term oligarchs. Oligarchs have set the parameters for those types of confrontations. It's their fight. So what we need to do is, and maybe in a sense, I was talking to somebody the other day, I'm quite relieved that digital ID has come to this point now, because people like me, myself and other people like Whitney Webb, and we have been writing about this moment coming for years. That this is coming. You might call us, we were openly called conspiracy theorists. And still am. But okay, call me whatever you like. But what we are trying to say is, and what we have been saying for years, is this is coming, and now we're here, right? So that's a good thing from my perspective. In a sense, it's a totally selfish perspective, but I'm relieved. Oh, thank God, right? And now we can just get on with it. So what is it that we've got to get on with? We have got to start building something better. We have got to start putting communities back together again, where we do things for each other, where the only people we rely on are each other. And frankly, if we say no to one login and we say no to joining this digital grid, this control grid, that'll be our only option. It'll only be those other people around us that have done the same thing that we can rely on. That'll be it. There won't be anybody else. So it will bring us together. It will bring those of us that are not quite ready yet to sell our souls for the some permission convenience. That will be, those people will come together, and then we will just start after thinking, well, where are we going to get food, water? How are we going to fix our roofs? We will have to do it. We will have to do it. And that will come down as well to us as individuals. Ultimately, you're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am responsible for everything that goes on around me, and I'm the only person who is responsible for myself, and nobody else is responsible for me. But what that means is that nobody else tells me what to do, ever, by any authority, power that they claim. None. I am free, and I am free because I say I am, and I will not comply with anyone who claims to have authority over me. Because if they say they've got authority over me, my first response is going to be, prove it. Prove that you have authority over me. Show me where that is a proven fact. Because they won't be able to show you, because it's not true. It's not true. So that is where we need to get to. And then we need to just build communities with each other, and build networks, and build partnerships, and build the things that we need to have a life without them.
I think we're a long way away from that.
We are.
I think most people are so blind and so lost. They don't even know who they are. They don't know who their community is.
No.
They're so disconnected.
Yeah, and that's what, the COVID thing was a great kind of forerunner for that, wasn't it? It just put us, I mean, the more I look at it now, the more I kind of think, wow, the COVID was a trial run for what we're going through, or about to go through now, with digital ID. Because the whole point of COVID was to remove us, to isolate us, to put us like in our little kind of virtual reality kind of hovels, in our, all in our own little bubbles, so that we don't talk to each other. Our only means of communication is online. That's the only way that we communicate with each other.
You must be so
locked down and isolated. That's what it was about, right? Now, when we get to the digital era, where they want us to digital ID, what they are saying is that will be your life. Locked down and isolated, unless you comply. If you comply, then you will be able to roam about freely in society and talk to other people. But if you don't, you will be locked down and isolated. That is, why they did what they did during COVID, in my view. I think they were thinking, well, how far can we push this envelope? How far can we go?
And by the way, when you say comply, it doesn't mean just be a nice, good citizen and not cause any trouble and not speed. It means you take all their jabs. It means you take their prescribed drugs that they tell you to take. It means you tell them, you have to do everything they tell you.
Yeah.
They tell you to jump, you jump.
Yeah.
They tell you to bend over and take it, bend over and take it. And after a while, it will be degrading, dehumanizing. It'll be painful.
Yeah, I mean, you won't be able to travel, definitely won't be able to travel without your jabs. You won't be able to do that.
Well, I mean, isn't there a report where they said by 2047, 2049, there'll only be 2 airports, Edinburgh and Heathrow, that there'll be 60% less traffic on the roads? I mean, they're planning on it, that beef and lamb consumption will be banned.
There's plenty of moves for that, yeah.
No, there's an actual policy, and it was discussed in the House of Lords, by the way.
Oh, was it? Right, yeah.
Airports,
that wouldn't surprise me.
And beef and lamb, all of this stuff. And they're happy with that. And you just think, what kind of future, what kind of quality of life will our children and grandchildren have?
Oh, it'd be awful, God, yeah. I mean, if we care at all about our, the future that our children and our grandchildren and so forth are going to have, we've got to stand up to this.
But the problem is, I know that a lot of people don't, because a lot of grannies went rushing and grandpas went rushing to get their jabs and wanted their children and grandchildren to get the jabs. They're so petrified of dying of this thing called COVID, when actually they should have been putting themselves first in front of their children and grandchildren and being a shield for them. And instead, like Bob Moran's drawn that picture, they got a baby as a life jacket in front of them, Yeah. It's sad. It's sad to see what a lot of humans turned into. So you say, all these people should be thinking about their children and grandchildren. Mate, again, COVID showed us that they wouldn't.
No, I mean, and I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that the majority, as I said earlier, won't go along with it. Of course they will. I mean, for all the reasons you've just said. And, I said, I would imagine that 75% of the population will do it on the first day, probably.
Yeah.
You know,
All right,
they
look-
won't. They'll think, "Oh, I'm not listening to all that. I don't care about." You know, so you know, at some point in the future, they might look back, but probably not. But I mean, at some point in the future, when there might be a particular food stuff that they are required to ingest that they don't want to, they might think, "Oh God, I wish we hadn't done that now." But that'll be too late.
I don't even think they'll do that. How many people look back and go, I wish I never took the COVID shots. Oh, that was really terrible that I had to take a shot to fly.
Yeah.
It's complete amnesia. Complete amnesia.
Yeah. But
Or they justify it and go, no, it's a good thing.
But
Yeah.
for those of us that are not of that mindset, for those of us that think they can stick their jabs where the sun doesn't shine,
Exactly.
we were also isolated and cut off from each other and told that the only place we exist is online during the lockdowns. That ain't true. As I've been discovering, just by probably doing this work and meeting good people like yourself, it's not true. We are everywhere.
Millions.
There's a lot more of us than we think. Just talking to blokes out and about in the street, just talking to workmen and stuff like that. You start talking about these things and they go, yeah. And another thing, they know. They're away. They're aware.
100%. So one of my clients this morning, I do consultations. He's a former banker. He goes, Ahmed, so many of my banker friends are totally awake. I was like, what?
Mm.
He goes, tons. He goes, accountants, my accountants are awake. I've got friends who are awake, people at the gym who are awake. Everyone's awake, but like don't get me wrong, not everybody, but 30-40% of people I know are totally awake. They know something really bad is happening and they talk about it, and like us. I was like, that many? He was like, yeah. He goes, but they all think they're on their own. They all think there's no one else that thinks like them. He wants to create a platform that will make people realize that, whoa, no, you're not alone. Like a lot of us are out here thinking the same thing. We just need a psychopath mitigation strategy, and we need another way. We're always on the defense.
Yeah.
We need to go on the offense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we need to go on the offense. We need to find some way of fucking getting rid of them once and for all.
I don't think we'll ever, personally.
No, I do.
But getting rid of them as in, we can get rid of their influence.
I'll explain.
Yeah.
So we get rid of them as in like, enough of us raise our consciousness that we stop giving them power. So that they are completely impotent.
Yeah, no, that's the way.
That we literally remove them from positions of power. Like, no, we know who you are. Like, we put you there, but now you've revealed yourself for who you are. We get rid of them. We never even let them get there.
Yeah.
Like, we just never even let them get there.
I think the thing is, right, what you're talking about is removing them from positions of power, right? What we naturally actually need to do is don't have the positions of power.
Exactly.
There are no positions of power.
Exactly.
So,
but that's me. But that's an anarchist in me. Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't need these rulers.
No.
We have a system in place where all of us are so empowered and enlightened that the idea of someone ruling over us is laughable.
I mean, right. Yes, I think so. I think there's a mindset that you can have where the idea of someone ruling over you is utterly preposterous, right? Comical, actually.
Yeah, comical.
But that doesn't mean we all have to be philosopher kings in order for it to work.
I know that.
So if you look at how, I mean, great example, right? Workmen. I was going to use the example of workmen. Workmen turn up at a job. They've got a job to do, laying cabling or laying pipe or whatever, right? So they turn up. They know what they've got to do. They all start doing their roles, doing their jobs. They're chatting away. Yeah, all right, mate. Did you see the football last night? Yeah, great. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Not really thinking about what they're doing. Do a fantastic job. Finish the job and move on. No one is sitting there with a clipboard going, oh, you should have moved that slightly to the left and on your marks, get set. There's no level of control. There is no control. This is people that know what they're doing a job perfectly well, thank you very much, and going home at the end of the day. There's no one telling them what to do. Now, society that we have got, 90% of it already operates like that. Right? No one's forcing no one's forcing the farmer to grow food. No one is forcing the haulage companies to come and pick it up and take it to the supermarket. Nobody is forcing anyone to work in the supermarket. Nobody is forcing the company that owns the supermarket to sell food. Nobody is forcing anyone to do any of that. It is all done simply because people have got self-interest, and people are capable of acting together in their self-interest, in their mutual self-interest, to deliver a service, to deliver a product, to make things, to build things, to create things. It is innate to who we are. We are very capable of doing it. Look what we have done. The only slight problem we've got is that there are people who claim that we have to pay them for the privilege. That is our only real problem.
Yep.
If we stop paying them, if we just go, well, actually, I don't think we'll bother. That's the end of it.
I know. Right, listen. Final question of the day. You're on your deathbed, surrounded by your loved ones, about to meet your maker. Before you pass on, what would be your final words to them?
Never miss an opportunity to take a piss.
A tactical wee.
I don't know. I would say just carry on loving each other. Thanks for everything. Thanks for being with me and letting me have a wonderful life. I love you. Goodbye.
That's nice. All right, Iain. Listen, thank you very much for coming. See you again in a few months' time, or a year, or whenever.
Yeah, let's hope so. It's been good, mate. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.